Now, hello. Hi everyone in the internet. How are you doing? Are you well? I hope you are. I can't see you, but I trust that you can see me. I'm going to play some music for you, and I'm going to talk about this musical instrument that I play, which is it's called a Bodhrán, and I'll talk about what that means and where that comes from as well. Let's see. Now, first of all, I have to show you what this is. So, this is a Bodhrán. It's a kind of a frame drum. It's made from wood and goat. Like all frame drums, it's skin stretched over a frame. Traditionally in Ireland, goat skin, or at one time they would use dogs. Apparently, old greyhounds from the greyhound racing. So I'll play a little bit, and then I'll talk a little bit, and then I'll play a little bit, and then I'll talk a little bit. You're very welcome to say hi in the comments, and if you have any questions, put them in the comments, and I'll try and deal with those as we go along. So the Bodhrán, you play with a stick, which is also called a tipper or a kipping, and there are many different sorts of sticks. I'm just going to choose a simple one here. I'll play a little bit. Now, people are asking for the volume to be increased. So, 1, 2, how's that? Is that better volume? So, I don't know what my volume sounds like, so I'm asking you to tell me. Let's see. Any better now? More volume. Okay. How's this? Is that better? Thank you very much. The volume is okay now. Now, let me check for the drum microphone. All good? Everybody happy with the volume? Good. Thank you. It's strange because I'm not quite sure what I sound like, but there we go. So I'm relying on your comments. Okay. So the Bodhrán, we play with 2 hands, and we play both sides of the instrument. So you have one hand which goes inside the drum, and you manipulate the skin on the inside, and you have one hand which operates the stick. Okay? Everyone can hear. I'm happy. So, I'll play a little bit, then I'll talk a little bit, then I'll play a little bit. Is that good? Yes, it's good. I thought so. Now, so this instrument is used to accompany the traditional music in Ireland. And that traditional music is it's a very old traditional music, and it's normally for dancing. The kind of dances are, because it's for dancing, the music is therefore quite simple. It's not simple internally. It's simple. It's in simple time. It's in 2s or 3s. We don't use compound time signatures. We don't use 7s and 11s and things like that. Everything is very much 4s, 2s, 6s, 9s, 12s, because those things are much easier to dance to. And this music the tradition is non-classical. It is an oral tradition. It's passed down from person to person, usually within the context of playing in what we call sessions, and a session is a spontaneous gathering of musicians, usually in a bar. This music it comes from a tradition where people in the evening time, after they'd been working in the fields and stuff, would come together and play some tunes and sing some songs. And in a way, it keeps the community vital, because the songs and the tunes, of course, they become associated with people and stories, and you use the songs to tell stories or to give moral tales or to court ladies, or to express your despair at being abandoned. All these kind of things are bound up in these songs. The drum is part of this tradition. I'll talk about it after I play. So, like I said, we use one hand to manipulate the skin and one hand to manipulate the stick. And the stick moves up and down, and variations of up and down. But the way that I play, I use one end of the stick. I'll show you another way. So, have a listen. So as you can see, it's very, very tonally responsive. I have lots of notes. So, that's just a little bit of music for you. Let me talk a little about this drum. Traditionally, the drum, so this drum is quite small. It's 30 centimeters, I think. This is a very contemporary sort of made by an artisan drum, and it includes some really interesting additions that we don't have in the tradition. For example, it has a ring of skin, an extra ring of skin on the inside here, and this is directly taken from tabla. In the same way it does in the tabla, it compresses some of the overtones so that we get a much purer note. This is a very contemporary innovation. I like this very much, this tabla style drum. I'm going to show you an old drum now. So now this is one of my old drums. This is maybe 25, 30 years old, this drum, and it's a completely different item. It's much bigger. So it's like 40 centimeters. That's about 18 inches, 16 inches. It's much heavier, and it's much less deep. Also, the skin on this drum is much thicker. In fact, there are two skins on this drum, so the tone is much darker. This drum is very nicely weathered, and traditionally, when people made these instruments, they would take the skin from the animal, and they would shave off the hair and rub lime on the hair, or a mystic concoction of people would always guard the herbs that they put on the skin, and then they would bury the skin in the ground, in the earth in Ireland, and the earth is particularly acidic in the bog in Ireland, and so this acidic process would cure the skins, and you leave the skin buried in the earth for 5 days, a week or so, and then you dig it up and wash it, and you put it across the frame. And the frame that people would normally use would be a sieve, we would call it. So it would be an object that you use to move the grain with or carry things around. And so we think that traditionally these drums were like a tray, a skin tray that you could carry things around, and consequently they were not very beautiful, not very round, but they did the job. So these drums are much louder, and you play them in a slightly different style because you play, originally, as far as I understand, people used to play these drums with a bone. So of course you understand that a bone has two ends, so you end up with a big stick like this. Now this is the kind of stick that's used traditionally to play the bow, and when I say traditionally I mean historically back in the 1950s. I'll talk about that a little bit in a minute. So the stick has two ends and a balance point in the middle, and rather than, as I was doing before, playing with one end of the stick, you play with two ends. So let me just show you that, and you can hear the difference, I hope, between this fella and the little one. Now, so it's a much bigger beast. I quite like this drum. So sorry about that, I must have blown your ears off a bit. So as far as we understand it, this tradition of playing with two ends of the stick was part of an outdoor ritual use of a drum like this. So the drum was played standing up, very loud, like a noisemaker. And this tradition still exists. There's a vestige of this in Ireland at Christmas time, where it's called the Wren Boys. Wren is the little bird, and people will go out and play and go around the houses and drink a lot of whiskey as they go around and play. The other place that the drum came to Ireland from, we think, is that it came from either North Africa or Southern Europe. Nobody's quite sure because, of course, the drums tend to not survive. But we have bodhrans with jingles, and we have frame drums with jingles, played in the same way, and they may have come to Ireland with either on ships via the trading routes, or they may have come via the English military used a marching tambourine, and so there certainly would have been little frame drums with jingles on them in Ireland, and you can see historically that in the videos that we have from round about the end of the 1950s and the early 1960s, you can see musicians using what we would call a tambourine. So it's a drum like this with jingles, or with bottle caps hammered into the edge so that there's a jingle noise. All good so far? Now, what I want to talk about now is how the drum is technically played now. So I've showed you the old style. I don't play this style very much anymore. I've developed my own style, as most musicians do, and I play with a much more contemporary style with a longer stick, with one end of the stick, and with a completely different set of how you manipulate the skin on the inside. So that takes a different sort of drum, but I thought you'd like to see this. I have to tell you that you can't see this on the internet, but this drum smells of goat. Now, it's 25 years old, I think, but it still smells of goat. It used to have a big, it's gone now, but it used to have a big kind of hairy bit sticking out here. And traditionally, you don't get a drum that's made from a goat in August. Apparently, the goats, they smell particularly bad in August. But it still smells of goat. So I don't play this so much now because I have a goat hand afterwards. It's not great. Now, so we'll go back to this little one. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about the sticks that we use to play this drum, and because there are many, many, many different sticks, and each stick does a different job. Traditionally, as I showed you, we play a big stick with two ends, but that has become more and more and more refined, and to the point where people play. So this is a refined version of that same stick. So now this stick is much thinner. It's made by a wood turner on a lathe, and it has steel put into it. Can you see? It's got a little piece of brass at the end, so that it's very well balanced. So that the stick is beautifully balanced, and this is a big deal when you're moving the stick. The stick doesn't go up and down. It goes in a figure 8 pattern. It's very small. You can't really see it, but the stick does. It doesn't. You don't go up and down. It goes in a sort of figure of 8 because, that's how things move. And also, as you're playing, the stick rotates in your hand a little tiny bit. It's not anything that you would be aware of, but as you strike the drum, of course, the friction of the drum will move the stick. So, now, I like these. This is a violin bow, which has been broken. Not on purpose. No one breaks a violin bow on purpose, but it's come to the end of its days. And they make great tippers to play the bow on. They make great sticks to play the bow on because there's a certain weight in the wood and a certain balance in the bow. So now, in Irish music, we have forms. So we would call our tunes jigs, and those are in 6/8. We also have reels, and reels are in 2/4 or 4/4. And then we have slip jigs, which are in 9/8, and double jigs, which are in 12/8. We have polkas, which are in a fast 4/4 or 2/4, and marches, which are in a 2/4, and waltzes, which are in a 3/4. Normally, the way the form works is that the melody is the form. We don't have rhythmical compositions the way that other musical traditions have. So in the Indian musical tradition, in the Carnatic tradition, you have beautiful rhythmic compositions. We don't have that at all. As a bodhrán player, my job is to accompany the melody player, and each melody player is slightly different, and each melody player who plays with an accompanist, they have a slightly different musical relationship, which you as the bodhrán player have to respond to completely intuitively. You can't just come along and say, this is a reel, so I will play 4/4, the beat that I know for a reel, because the way that the musicians are playing is the rhythmical information that you need. It's what this means is it's very social music. You have to play it with other people in order to learn it, in order to learn the depth of it. Like Arab music, actually. Irish music, the dynamic is in ornamentation. So people will play. We call it in Irish music a triplet, but it's not a it's not a triplet like a taki ta triplet. It's two quavers and a crotchet. It's like da da da, da 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 da. This. And where you put those ornamentations, those trills and those runs, each melody player makes those decisions. They're stylistic decisions, so you have to follow them. Now, what this means is that as a percussionist, when you go along to play with a group of musicians that you don't know, you have to start from the basic understanding that you are wrong and they are right, and they know that. And so it's a little, you have to be a little bit socially astute to play the bodhrán. Anyway, so I'm going to talk a little bit jigs and reels. Now, a reel is a 4-beat tune. So. Now, one of the things that is really important in Irish music is an unspoken upbeat. Hup, 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 hup. That. So, that sense of an unspoken upbeat, that is the thing that makes you dance. Let me see if I can demonstrate this to you. Yeah, I think I can. I'm going to play some music here. Now, this will be strange, but I hope it works. Now, can you hear this music in the background okay? So this is recorded in a pub, you can hear. So that gives you the context of how the music works. The bodhrán, the word bodhrán comes from we think it comes from an Irish word, bower. And bower, like a lot of words in the Irish language, it has more than one meaning. It means deaf or dull. Like when you would put your hand over your ear, that sort of dullness, I mean like dull. And of course this is a big joke, that the bodhrán is a deafer. It makes you deaf, because obviously people think it's a loud instrument. Um, it also means, this word bauer also means to shake or agitate, and it could be that this is a reference back to this idea that you use the drum to its use as a farm implement, as a sieve. We don't know. I quite like the idea that the dullness is to do with the tone of the instrument, because unlike a lot of frame drums, the Bodhrán comes from a damp climate, so you want it to be not too bright in tone. One of the drums that I find it has a kind of quite interesting relationship with is the kanjira, and there's a certain amount of stuff that you can do on the Bodhrán, which basically comes from kanjira. We have the same ability to manipulate tone, and we have the same, because the kanjira uses the same kind of principle of up and down strokes. What we don't have is slap tones. It's very hard to slap a Bodhrán because you have to slap it on the inside, not the outside. So that's a reel that we listen to. Now, a jig is in 6/8, and it's traditionally people like to play jigs quite fast. I'm going to do a little technical thing here and show you. So you can play this 6/8 rhythm just using up and down strokes of the stick. The stick, I'll talk about the stick because it's. I realised I didn't tell you this. You hold the stick. Okay, I hold the stick. Everyone has their own particular way of doing this, but I hold the stick. Hold it like a pen. It's a little bit Harry Potter. Okay. And you turn it so that it's pointing at your belly button here, and the stick is then balanced on this knuckle here, and this finger and thumb therefore hold the stick. So what's doing the work here is my wrist. So there's nothing happening in that kind of way or in that kind of way. It's just my wrist, and I like to play as economically as possible, as relaxed as possible, just because otherwise you get problems with your shoulder and your hip and your knee and everything. It's usually so to play this 6/8 rhythm to this, you play very simple up and down. So I'm using up and down strokes to create the idea of a 6/8 pattern. If I change the strokes a little bit, so this time I'm going to play a downstroke, an upstroke, and another downstroke, so that it changes the sense of the rhythm. It's very subtle, but it is one of these things that marks a beginner and a slightly more advanced player, is that if you can do this double down thing. There you go. That's it takes a little while to get that. It's a thing you have to practice. What can I say? I'm going to show you a few other sticks now. There's a thing where people have started to grab. You'll see this in ordinary drum kits where people use. It's called a hot rod. So this is there you go. It's a bundle of rods that are all kind of bound together. And of course, people started to use those to play the Bodhrán. and it creates a much more interesting sound. So bunches of rods. Then, of course, every single different version of bunches of rods. So these are walnut ones, and they sound totally different. So this is some fibers from. I'm not quite sure what the plant is there. It's some kind of grass, and in the middle of them there's a stick. In the middle of this, so it's basically a bunch of fibers gathered around a central core. Here we go, and it gives me a much softer, more interesting, I think, more interesting sound. But I really like these sticks. Now, you can also play with a brush. You can see that now. I'll put it over there. Put it up there. This is just it's not a wire brush. Wire is not really good for these drums. It's a plastic brush. So, and it gives you a much more aggressive sizzle. This is better, yes? What I like about using a brush is that it allows you to play ghost notes, which are normally, if you play with you play all of the notes. Using a brush, you can play some of the notes and play ghost notes for the other ones, so that you can. Would you compare this with the conjura used in Carnatic? I absolutely would. Yes, I would. We're able to. I'm able to play, or I'm able to approximate the kind of tonalities that the conjura can do. It's how can I explain this? It's quite. Let me try and explain this. So, our music, Irish music, has this rolling, evolving quality, and we play a lot of the same kind of rhythmical structures over and over and over and over again. I've just seen all the comments. There we go. Thanks very much, all the comments. I've just seen them now. I can look at the comments. Oh, very good, very good, very good. No, I'm not confused now because I'm reading the comments. If you have any questions, put them in the comments, and I'll try and address those in the comments. I will play some more. People are wanting me to play some more. Can we watch what you're playing with the left hand? Yes, we can. Okay, here we go. So I will have to move a little bit. Shift the microphone a little bit. So the left hand. So the left hand does a bunch of stuff. It does, you use the left hand. Can you see the left hand okay, everybody? Okay, good. So the left hand does three things. One is you mute or open the skin, very simply. Second thing is that you use this part of your hand here, the fleshy part at the side of your hand, as a new bearing edge inside the drum. So you change the pitch. By changing the amount of area of the drum, you can change the pitch. So that's muting, opening, change the pitch. And the third thing that you can do is that you literally push the skin. I can't show you, but you can see that. Can you see that? That I have the skin is soft enough that I can move it. So, here. So I'll play and I'll show you what my left hand is doing, so you can see. It's where the music is in this drum. The stick does up and down, but the left hand is the music. Let me try and do this. So now this is hard to play. Now I have to organize myself here, folks. Just let me get a microphone. How's that? That better? Yeah. Okay, that's better. Now. Let's see. Do you tune the instrument for the pitch? How do you do it? The answer is yes, you do. Traditionally, we would, in the old times, before tuning systems, we would take the drum and you take it near to the fire and you tune it up by holding it near the fire, and you go away from the fire and and it goes down in pitch again. Contemporary drums have a tuning system, and I will show it to you. So this drum, can you see here, this drum has tuning lugs in the frame, and what those do is there is an insert in the drum which allow me to push and pull the skin across the frame to tune it. This drum is particularly good at tuning to pitch. So what you do to tune it is you will go around each lug. Now, you hear? Can you hear that this one is? I'll do it here. So that one's out of tune. So I'll just give it a little tweak. And that's how we tune. And I have different drums for different sort of tonal centers. So I have an A drum and a D drum, and that's how you tune it. I have a couple of other interesting things to show you, and these are just my own developments with the instrument. This will be a little more technically wacky. One of the things that I'm interested in is combining my drum with my electronics and studio stuff. And again, if you have any more questions, put them in the comments. I'll try and address them as we go along. And I thought I'd just show you that, the electronics for fun. So one of the things that I've worked out is, let me get this. So now I'm going to use this drum. So this is electric. There's no skin on this. It's nylon mesh. It's a proper frame, but it's a trigger. It's a drum trigger. So it's got a, I don't know if you can see it. It's this part here, behind the microphone, Dave. This part here is an electronic trigger. So it takes my stick information and transforms it into MIDI. So which means that I can take this sound and send it to my computer. Let's turn this up. I don't know if you can hear that. So now, is it possible to play with the fingers? I will come to that in a moment. So what I have here is I have in the computer, I have a sequence. I have a sequence of notes pre-programmed that I can now trigger. So there's that. And because I'm just outputting notes, I can so that's one thing I do. So I'm going to address some of these questions about is it possible to play with the fingers? So there is a style in the tradition where we play with the hand, and I'm going to show you that because it's quite nice. It's the same technique, but you use just the knuckles of the hand. We don't play in this style as a frame drum. We don't. We play always in this kind of sideways style, but with the hands, I'll play the bigger drum actually. It's nicer to do that. So. And you can put some nice effects in with the nails. It's not very precise. I like it as it's great for accompanying singing. So that's the hand style that we use in Ireland. Now, do you have any questions as I move on with this? Because I'm nearly done with my time here. This instrument, I have to say, it is extremely versatile and exciting and interesting, and I'm deeply love it. I also deeply love exploring other traditions with it. I've taken quite a few influences from Indian music. And so now that within my own tradition, I have started to play little tea highs and things within my own tradition with my own band. The other musicians don't know that it's a tea high, but I do. I've also started to. I took this from tabla players. I've played with a little bit of talcum powder in the inside of the drum now, because this gives me such a good this whoop noise, which is really, really expressive. Where can we learn the techniques to play this instrument? You can learn from me. I teach online and on Skype, and I'd be happy to take on some more students. Can you play some accompanying some music? Of course, I can. Now let me see. I will find some music here. I'm going to play. So I'm going to accompany a very famous piece of music from it's one of the seminal albums of Irish traditional music, and it includes instruments. Thank you very much for all your positive comments. It's really nice. It includes instruments, so there'll be fiddles, there'll be uilleann pipes, which are a kind of bagpipe which you play by pumping the bag full of air with a bellows that's underneath your elbow, and also there'll be bouzouki in this music as well. So let me play that, and that'll be the end for me. Now, hang on a second. Let's see. I have to take one of my headphones off because I have to hear the music. It's such a shame. I would love to be able to show you what this music sounds like with a band, but of course my musician friends that I have a band with here, they're all socially isolated at the moment. So soon. Now we're in 9/8. Now, there you go. There you go. That's a lot of information that I've given you in 50 minutes. I hope that you have enjoyed this. I hope you can see that clearly this instrument is related to many, many other frame drummers and many other percussion instruments in various parts of the world. And if you have any other questions, I can be found on Facebook. I also have a website that you can check out, and I'm very happy I give online lessons, and I'm very happy to I'm also really, really interested, and this is a genuine thing, I'm deeply interested in collaborating with musicians from all over the world, and it's a great passion for me, because music is, for me, music is one of the things that makes us human and makes us able to reach beyond ourselves. And I think that's more and more and more important, the ability to reach beyond yourself and connect with all the other people that we share the planet with. So thank you all for your comments. I'll hang around on Facebook for a while afterwards. I'll accept friend requests and all that kind of stuff. It's a strange experience to talk to a lot of folks that maybe I have never met before, and I'm very happy to welcome you into my little studio here, and I hope that we can do this again another time. And I send greetings to all my friends, Sakanya Mom and Somanya. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this, and I wish you great luck with the Sonadam Trust, which I see doing beautiful music, and I hope that we can, me and Murphy. Murphy is my dog. Thank you so much, and I will sign off now, and I hope that we can do this all again soon, and that we meet in some future time. Thank you very much.